Hey guys, it's Ashley with Love's Intuition Tarot and welcome. For today's video, I'm going to talk about the story of the Divine Masculine Rise that is about to, well, has already started, but into which you can literally witness. I actually wrote all of this information out back in December when when God originally told me about the 6-month timeline for the twin flames. And now that I have more information and God has been able to explain and unlock some more things for me in my knowledge, I understand this better and differently, and I want to explain it to you. Now that I've gone through some of it, seen some of it, and how it's actually playing out. Because it does, it makes a lot of sense. Essentially, we're not so much going to do tarot today. I'm going to talk more about astrology, because astrology is another very strong and heavy point way in which God has been able to explain to me what's happening in the universe, what's happening on this planet, what's happening with the twins and all kinds of different collectives. But overall, it's very heavily about timelines, storylines, movie plots. I don't know how, it's all that same type of concept. You know, when you watch a movie or when you read a book, there's a start point and a finish point. And those types of plots literally play out in the stars, and we end up the characters. I don't know how else to say it. And I'm going to explain what the storyline that we are in right now looks like, and the mini chapters within, and how God has explained this information to me so that I can try and explain it to you as best I can. I mean, He gives me so much hidden knowledge. It's beautiful, and I want to be able to try and share it. It's just turning it into words is the hardest part. You know what I mean? Sharing it. Okay, so let's go back to December. God told me that for the twins, there was going to be a 6-month period into which each of these new moons, there will be come back togethers, reconciliations, and things like this happening. I do definitely believe that at each of these different ones, there's times when certain twins will complete and come back together and start the next parts of the story, but there are ones also who will be all the way slow until they get the full reconnection, until like the last one, which is the May new moon. So I believe it'll end with the lunar eclipse for real. Yeah. Between May 11th new moon and the May 26th lunar eclipse. Because this is all based on the conjunctions. I'm basing all of this information on the conjunctions that are happening at each new moon. This information and the traits and the qualities of each of the particular planets and portions that are conjuncting is giving me information about what chapters are starting within the timelines. So God had already given me the information that there is a 6-month thing happening on the planet. So when He gave me this information, He also gave me the thoughts to look up the charts and see what was conjuncting, what was basically essentially very close to each other, just like Jupiter and Saturn were with December 21st, that type of conjunction. When these planets get that close together, it changes us. I don't know how to explain it. We move on this planet in the same way that the planets move in the sky. And so basically, each new moon, from new moon to new moon, starts an arc of a chapter within this big chapter of 6 months. So for the first month that already happened, December 14th to January 13th, was one chapter of this big movie plot, okay, or book. That first chapter, the focus, this is the book of the masculine rise. In all reality, this will happen within everyone, feminines, masculines, all people on the planet for real, but to varying degrees. Now, it will heavily focus on the masculine side of things and how they view things. But like I said, it will happen inside all of us. So from December until January, the main focus was starting this new transition overall, with the main focus being on divine destiny and purpose. It's the moon in conjunction with the midheaven. There's also another conjunction of Venus and Juno. And so this focus, also between December and January, has the masculine looking at the way that they love. Venus is all about the way that one loves another person. And Juno is about the adaptation to your marital partner. So they, between, December and January, masculine has been internally asked to start the entire book and timeline of finding divine destiny and purpose, with this month and this chapter heavily focusing on looking at internally the way that you love and how you want to adapt, or feel you adapt to marital partners or they adapt to you. Then the part of fortune and the ascendant in every single one of them pretty much is also a conjunct. So that amplifies how you actually act in the real world. So yeah, it's like this is the internal stuff, and every single month it's being amplified into how you actually maneuver in the world and treat other people in 3D reality. So then that chapter completes. Now we just hit the new moon for January 13th to February 11th. And that is a conjunction of Jupiter in the midheaven. So it is an expansion of benevolence. That is what Jupiter is all about. Expanding the quality of being selfless and giving, helping type stuff, being nice, basically. That concept is expanding in relation, again, to divine destiny and purpose. That's happening. This is the internal things that are happening. Then there's also a conjunction with the ascendant and Lilith. And this is amplified with the part of fortune. The ascendant, again, is how we act in the world, how we are perceived in the world, how we actually maneuver. And with Lilith in conjunction with that, that heavily focuses on how we act in a concept of things that are taboo or dark or you don't normally talk about, secrets kept. I don't know. It's basically saying like, because there's another one too. There's also Pluto and the Sun have a conjunction too. It's deep transformation within the heart. Okay. Basically, this is saying the masculine between January 13th and February 11th would have a deep transformation in the heart regarding how they view taboo subjects or how things that they don't normally want to talk about. Like, they really look at that type of stuff and then they act on that out in the world the way that they should, I guess. This is an expansion of benevolence in regards to their divine purpose and destiny. Okay, so that would be the second chapter of this story. So then comes the third chapter between February 11th to March 13th. It's Venus and Jupiter, so it's another expansion of goodness, niceness in the way things are treated, selflessness about the topic. So it's an expansion of this selflessness in regards to the way one loves, to the Venus, to lovers, to partnership people, to feminines, basically. Again, this is amplified out into the world. Small chapter. So then comes March 13th, new moon. Between March 13th and April 11th, there will be a huge focus again on the way one loves, the feminine, the Venus, but this time it's in conjunction with Neptune. So the masculine will look at the way one loves, and with Neptune, they'll understand it from a more mystical way, from a spiritual way. This is when the masculine will very much be able to start understanding the way that the feminines can understand on a spiritual level. If you feel like your masculine hasn't really been able to spiritually just get it, it's going to be between this March and April time. A lot of the mystical stuff, the Neptune stuff, comes in then. Again, that's amplified in how it comes out into the world. Okay, so then is the the April 11th new moon. The only conjunction there is the sun in the midheaven. So at the heart of the person, the core of the person, there's going to be a big understanding, again, of that divine purpose, that divine destiny type thing. Then comes the May 11th new moon. So that's what's happening from April to May. The core of them, they start understanding their true purpose, which makes sense. I'll go over this a little bit again too. So then comes May 11th, 2021, and that month. And there's conjunction of sun, moon, midheaven, and Lilith, all in the same spot. When the moon was at this starting one, and the moon's at this ending one. That's like the start and the end of the big story, the big plot. And all that's happening within the core of a person about their divine purpose, and the mystical and the taboo and the extra, the spiritual and the dark, even the hidden things, all of that comes out and plays into finding the core of yourself on a divine purpose, in a divine purpose way, and finding divine purpose within that, maybe even. So then on that same May 11th new moon, there's also Mercury in North Node. Mercury is all about communication, and the North Node is about the karmic goals that you are meant to achieve in life. It's literally saying there will be a lot of communication about the karmic goals that the masculine has ended. It's like the culmination. It's like when the masculine finally talks about the fact that, wow, all this was for a purpose. I ended this karmic shit. I don't know how else to say it. You know what I mean? So then comes the May 26th lunar eclipse. That's a conjunction of the moon and the midheaven. So a new transition start about divine purpose and destiny again, or culmination point, end point. It could be start or end, really, of the divine purpose and destiny. And then Pallas and Neptune. So it's abstract thinking regarding mysticism come together. So it's like being able to think very abstract about mystical things in regards to divine purpose and destiny. And then Saturn in the ascendant conjunct. So Saturn's all about concentration and effort and focus, and then the ascendant is about how we act in the world again. So it's then it's a finality into which it ends with a mass amount of concentration into how we act within that actual world. So if we go back real quick, the long story short is, since December, the first chapter is all about starting looking at the way that one loves and adapting to the people that you care about as a masculine. And then, putting that out into the world properly. Then the next chapter is, looking at your divine purpose and allowing internally that to expand in a wanting to help and more selfless way. Also, secondarily, in this next chapter, looking at taboo things, hidden things, secrets, things you don't like to talk about, and how we act about that, and just letting it come out and essentially transform the core, especially of the masculine. It will be a very deep transition in the core to, I guess, look at these taboo things and expand the selflessness. Next chapter, looking again at the way one loves, the feminine types, and that expanding in a much more selfless way as well, that amplifying into how masculine acts. Then again, looking at the way one loves with Venus, but in a more mystical understanding in the next chapter, and then that amplifying outwards. The next chapter then is the core of the masculine, really feeling and finding divine purpose and destiny. And then in the May chapter, the end point between May 11th and May 26th, the core of the masculine, truly finishing out this 17 again type internal transformation of divine purpose and destiny, handling all of their dark, and then talking about essentially what they learned from it, their where they want to go and where they feel like they've been, with the final culmination being having a much more abstract ability to think about mystical and spiritual stuff, truly feeling like the masculine has divine purpose and destiny, and really putting concentration and effort into that in an outward way. That is the story of the next 6 months, the masculine rise, the 17 again style lessons, and they're going to happen at varying degrees depending on how enlightened masculine is as it is. And like I said, we all have masculine, we all have feminine, so we'll be a part of this as well, even learning some of the same lessons, but it's going to really hit heavy in the masculine. We saw the feminine rise already. That happened in time already. If you're a true feminine twin flame, you already have gone through your transformative period. It's now the masculines, and for the next 6 months they'll be on this journey, whether you guys come back together and start, I don't know, date, whatever, in this month, next month, you know what I mean? Those lessons will still continue, and you'll have to deal with them separate or apart, for the next 6 months. And and then, after that, I think we'll be able to see what the next story is going to be. But, I'm sure I'll learn more as it all goes. So I hope if you've been able to follow that, it helps. So I did the best I could. And sometimes this information is very difficult to try and explain. You know what I mean? When it's just me in my head, it's easier to understand and then to put it into words for another person to understand, especially when I know you haven't learned everything I've learned, So I'm trying my best, guys, and I really do hope it helps, because I'm very sure that this is what we'll see. We will see this sort of transformative thing, just like we went through. So, see you guys.